I was debating on whether or not I should address this one because, like, where does one begin? First of all, back in World War Two, the end of it, when it ended, um, the German soldiers, from I'm not a history person, so, like, excuse my layman's terms or whatever in describing this. But I do know that a lot of those soldiers in Germany didn't know who they were fighting for. Didn't know they knew who they were fighting for. Hitler is a plant just like Trump is a plant. Hitler is actually related to, like, the Rothschilds, or what do you call it? One of those, like the Rothschilds, like that type of thing. He, like, one of those satanic families. He was an offspring between the Maid and one of those Rothschild thingies. So that's his background. He's one of those blue-blooded whatevers. Anyways, and he was put there. And I could get into that, but I won't. But but yeah, so that's how he was planted where he was planted. And much like the German public, the Germans didn't know. Sorry. Much like the Germans did not know that Hitler was a puppet. Many of them still don't know. Many Americans don't know. Many people worldwide don't know that Hitler was placed exactly where he was precisely. Much like the Germans didn't know this, they also didn't know at the time what they were really fighting for. They didn't know, most of the Germans didn't know what was being done to the Jews, like, for real, like the torture and stuff like that, all, like, the gas chambers, the horrific things that were done to the Jews during World War II. Most German soldiers were not aware. It was only like a select, it's just like in the military, not everyone's on the front line. Not all German soldiers knew what was being done to the Jews. So that being said, it was only like, how, like, there's all of these trafficking rings and these children in underground tunnels, and only, like, the quote cream of the crop of society gets to see that. Same thing with, like, the tormenting of the Jews, during that time. So when World War II ended, and we'd conquered Germany, all of that, the German soldiers, who were just like the laymen, like the basic German soldiers who weren't of that special ranking in which you got to torture people like that, especially the German soldiers who were fighting, I don't know what it's called, but, like, they weren't fighting in their home country. They were fighting, like, like that movie Das Boot, where they were, like, fighting with the submarine or whatever. Like, they were fighting, like, outside of Germany. Like, like, they didn't, like, there were the ones that were stationed in Germany, I imagine, were, like, trying to terminate all the Jewish people there. And the ones that were stationed, and then, like, the ones that were, like, stationed elsewhere were just, like, fighting Europe and trying to be Rome again, I guess. They were trying to be, like, the new Rome, I think, what was going on. But yeah, so the Germans, especially the ones that were fighting, abroad, and, like, weren't, like, of the bracket that were, like, torturing the Jewish people, they had no idea that this was going on in their home country, and they had no idea that that's what they were fighting for. And so the United States and other countries sat them down, basically, and showed them videos of what the Jews were going through, and they were, like, breaking down in tears. They had no idea. So that's that. And second of all, imagine you're in a situation. Imagine you got kidnapped, right, by someone like the Diddler, and you were forced to get trains run on you. And if you didn't do as you were told, you were beaten to a pulp. Would that make you a whore? Would that make you, are you, like, on the same level as a prostitute? in that situation where you basically, because that's the Cassie situation where, yeah, like she didn't have the luxury of saying no. And that's what you and all these other down low incels are missing. So yeah, maybe like crack a history book open and like, I would like for you, I think I would try to come to terms with like your sexuality and like maybe do therapy with that. Like there's therapy you could take. You can go, like, you can talk to other gay men. I don't know, like I wouldn't know, but like, for your problem, like I would take steps to like getting to the root of your problem, because this just isn't it. This really, really isn't it. You know, that girl did not have the luxury to saying no to that man, and that's what makes what happened to her a huge injustice.